Hello everyone, my name is FlareBlitzed and welcome back to Katawa Shoujo. Let's see how many more times Misha will try and tease us about Hanako. Kenji just goes back into his room and I hear him throwing his locks as I walk down the hallway. I don't need your advanced tactics and maneuvers to avoid people. That's why some people can't roll their tongue, or why their second toe is longer than their big toe. Muto beams a half-moon smart as obviously proud of his explanation of recessive genes. However, no matter how impressed he is at the science that defines who we are, the classroom seems to be reduced to a stupor. Why is it that a bad explanation can make even the most interesting things seem worthless? I can see Muto deflate as he realizes that nothing he's said in the past half hour has sunk in. Whispered conversations start to break the silence, and like an avalanche, the noise level in the class starts to rise. Defeated Muto identifies some questions from the textbook and sets to clearing off the blackboard. Almost as if expected, Hanako picks up her things and leaves as soon as people start talking and laughing amongst themselves. The initial shock of seeing someone play so bluntly trod has started to fade, but it doesn't stop me from wondering. Is she leaving because she doesn't want people to speak to her, or is it just before the people around her shattering her peace? Before I can think about the topic any further, the lunch bell rings. I wonder if she was simply taking the opportunity to leave early. The usual clamour of students exchanging books for lunch reverberates around the room, and while Misha is distracted, I grab my lunch and head out the door. While Misha is distracted. That's the most important part. Lilly already sits in the tea room, sitting on her lunch alone. So, Hanako's not here then? Oh, hi Sal, how are you? I haven't seen Hanako since this morning, I'm afraid. That's right, Hanako and Lilly live next to each other. Somehow I think their morning conversation is slightly more grounded than Kenji's ramblings. Yeah, that's strange. She left class early, so I figured that she'd come here. Maybe the library would be the other place, so she's still leaving class early. Huh? Yeah, I've seen her do it a few times. Lilly drops her head a little and her tone of voice is notably depressed. It's very reminiscent of someone who is used to hearing bad news. I was so sure that she'd stop doing that once you two became friends. Everyone has their own pace, I suppose. Well, I was wondering about just that today. Why exactly does she leave? I'm not entirely sure myself. I personally think it's because she doesn't want to be put in a situation where she has to answer someone. I have a flashback of my first meeting with her, when I thought she looked like a cornered animal. Maybe I wasn't far from the truth. But she seems fine with talking to you, and with me, a bit. It's a little more complex than that. I imagine that the first thing most people ask her about is her scars and what happened. She rarely talks about it with me, but I can tell that she doesn't like to remember whatever happened back then. Leaving class and running away from discussions is her preemptive strike, if you will. So that's how... Then how does that explain her talking to me? You said it yourself yesterday at breakfast. You tried to ignore her scars. Once she saw that you weren't going to ask her about that, she opened herself up to you. I guess you're right. Maybe, I don't know. You know her better than I, so I'll take your word for it. I wouldn't worry about that. I'm sure you'll come to know her as well as I do soon enough. I welcome the prospect of her having a new friend, and the two of you have such similar interests. While I hardly count reading as a team sport, it is good company to have though. That's my point. Hanako is still an average person at heart. She also wants company at times like that. I see. I think, to be honest, both of you still confuse me a little. That's only natural, Hisao. We've known each other for a little while. It's unreasonable to expect you to understand us, just as we can't understand you. But that is half the fun of becoming friends, right? Yes. Yes, it is. Although, I suppose there is the matter of us being opposite genders, men and women do seem to confuse each other quite often. She says this with a light giggle, finding amusement at the odd little details of life. Hope you don't mind, but I'm going to start eating. No, go ahead, I think I'll eat something too. I've got some books I want to drop back at the library before classes start, so I better get a move on. You'll probably find Hanako there as well. If you do see her, you can tell her to stop by my room later tonight. I'd like to talk to her. You're not coming? Unfortunately, I have a class representatives meeting later, so I'll be gone as soon as I finish my lunch. Okay then. If I don't see her in the library, then I'll tell her in class. I'm sure she'll be back after lunch. We fall silent as we start to eat, and I take a second to reflect on our conversation. I've always thought that Hanako's shyness was simply due to her being self-conscious of her scars. Very controversial. But that is a pretty superficial way of looking at her. Just when I thought I was able to see through the fog of Lilly Hanako, I realise I'm more lost than when I started. Lilly quickly finishes her lunch, acutely aware of her meeting. I don't blame her. Shizune is most likely going to be there, and I doubt she wants to give her the satisfaction of another argument. I must be off. Same time tomorrow? Same time, same channel. Same channel, definitely. I better head off too. I don't want to risk being late. Lilly smiles gently, picks up her cane and walks out into the hall. I turn my back on Lilly as we head in opposite directions. For some reason I find myself hoping that she doesn't get into another fight with Shizune. As much as I like Lilly, Shizune and Misha have been pretty instrumental in helping me adjust, even if half of our conversations are thinly veiled recruitment attempts. Then again, I barely know either of them. Maybe they were previous leaders of some kind of secret cult society, but their love for each other drove them apart. Man, I need to stop reading cheap fiction. It's rotting my brain. Either that or I've got to move away from Kenji and his bad influence. Don't let his bad influence you, my man. It is sad that I can't tell the two apart. You can! Just separate Kenji's ideology away from your own. Don't even picture Kenji in the equation. His opinion is that it's not him as a person. Which probably still is him as a person, so I don't know. I slide my books down the return chute and they crash into the cart with a pleasant thud. Yuko, however, doesn't seem as impressed as I. Hi, Sal, you scared me. Sorry, I thought you were used to that by now. Or is the literacy level here so low that nobody borrows any books? Huh? No, I think everyone here can read fine. Yeah, never mind. There are some battles that you can never win. Trying to explain jokes is one of them. My dad taught me that the hard way. Say, Yuko, have you seen Hanako about? She left class early, but she wasn't in her usual hiding place. I think I saw her sneak in before lunch. Oh, but I'm not supposed to tell anyone that. Lovely, you're good with secrets, Yuko. You're the worst person to keep a secret to. I think Shizune is the best person to keep a secret with, simply because of the lack of being able to communicate with others. I just told you that I saw her leave, no need to stress out. Oh, of course, she's probably in the back. Thanks. Get any new books in recently? No, sorry, I'll let you know when we do, though. Okay. If there's one thing I know about librarians, part-time or otherwise, is that they appreciate people who take a genuine interest in their work. I'll walk the now familiar path to Hanako's reading nook, picking out a few titles along the way. Sometimes I find it hard to discover a book that would interest me among the shelves. An author's name and a two-worded title doesn't mean much in a sea of similar words. For that reason, I sometimes reread books I read in the past. Better to bet on the favourite than a new runner. An unfamiliar title from a familiar author peeks out among the spines of its neighbours, so I remove it from the shelves. At least I'm not going over old material. Let's see, as expected, Hanako sits on her beanbag, buried deep in a copy of Dance, Dance, Dance! Hi Hanako, how's it going? I fight back the urge to ask why she left class early. If Lily's suspicions were right, then asking her about that could have the opposite effect. Yeah, sometimes when you push on a particular topic, you're actually repelling someone away from you. Best to leave it for the time being. Sometimes the best way to get an answer from someone is to never ask the question, but them open up to you about it. Like, you probably had times where you wonder why I'm doing this, but I respect that you didn't ask, but now I'm ready to give you that answer. Hello, hi Sal, I'm fine. Something seems off. After a couple of seconds I realise what it is. Hanako's smiling. She looks as if she's pleased to see me. It's a nice change from the usual, instinctively frightened reaction, and something I hope I can see more of as we get to know each other better. Good to hear. How's that book? I've heard it's a trip. It's good, I think. I've only just started it, so I don't really know. Fair enough. Let me know how it goes. I may borrow it once you're done. Sure. There's a good 15 minutes left. 15 minutes left in lunch. I was saying it correctly. I don't know why I thought I didn't say it correctly. Not enough to really get into a book, but too much to stand around doing nothing. And Hanako's already returned to her reading, so I doubt I'll get much conversation from her. Oh well, I better make myself comfortable. I slash into a beanbag and crack open my book. Goodness, why did I say crap open? The familiar style of Yorfa leaps out at me from the very first line. As the sentences turn into paragraphs, I start to relax a little. But no matter how much I try, I can't seem to get myself into the atmosphere of the book. This is partially due to lack of time, but the more distracting factor is Hanako. Every 10 or so seconds she peers over the top of a book, but when our eyes meet she quickly ducks behind the covers. What have you got in that head of yours at this point in time, Hanako? I guess you did want to talk about something after all. What's up? You look like a prairie dog on lookout. No, it's nothing. I've told you before, nothing means something when you say it like that. Hanako squirms a little in her beanbag, hoping that by changing her position she'll find the word she's looking for. I was in an accident. Accident? Just now? Are you alright? Hanako shakes her head, her hair flowing around her shoulders in whispers of amphemis on a background of pale and dark flesh. No, when I was younger. Indeed. That accident. Realization crashes into me like a semi. When I was... It's alright, Hanako. You don't have to tell me anything if you don't want to. Again, she shakes her head. No, I have to tell you. When I was younger, I was in a fire. My house burned down, and I nearly didn't make it. And after that, I was alone. Hanako's eyes glisten in the dim light of the library, and I reach out to grasp her hand. It's okay, Hanako. You don't have to keep going. But I have to. Why? What brought this on? Last night, Lilly told me about your heart. And I didn't think it was fair. Fair? That I knew about you, but you didn't know about me. So that's why, in a ways. I had a hypothesis about this in the last episode, I think, about, like, if you're not prepared to tell someone about your condition, then you shouldn't ask them that question in the first place. But there's an actual reason as to why, Hisao, told Lilly about his heart condition, because there was an actual activity that went on when it came to going back to school with both Lilly and Rin. It was about the factor of he has a weak heart, and Lilly kind of appreciating that factor of not only being told but also being respected by that. Like, Lilly didn't want to push Hisao into telling her that, but he told her because it would stop her worrying. I squeeze Hanako's hand a little. Don't be silly, but yes, I have a heart condition. I lean a little close to Hanako. What I didn't tell Lilly is that I had my first heart attack when a girl confessed to me. I smile a little to break the tension. But really? Really? I haven't heard from her for a while though, so I guess it's all over. I know it's all over, but there's no other way to interpret what happened the last time I saw her. In some ways, not having heard from her again has helped me move on from that period of my life. So now, we both know a little more about each other, but you don't have to talk about things if you don't want to. In fact, I feel a little bad even thinking about the whole accident. I can almost smell the hospital's disinfectant burning the back of my sinuses again. I imagine Hanako is going through the same thing now. When I was in the hospital, I went to the burnt ward once, and only once. I was bored, so I went for a walk through all the wards. I went through oncology and thought I could take it. When I got to the burn ward, I turned around and went back to my bed. To think that Hanako would have spent months in a place like that, smelling nothing but corrupted skin, strong disinfectant and sterilized air. The really bad cases were kept in isolated pods that no foreign objects could enter. That would have meant no reading. I would have gone insane if I didn't have my books in hospital. And she said she was alone. Did her parents die? I'll have to ask Lilly about that. I can imagine myself saying something dumb unintentionally. Thank you, Hisao. I haven't told many people about this. To be honest, I haven't told many people about my circumstances either. Then I won't tell anyone either. Deal. I changed my grip on Hanako's hand into a handshake as the warning bells chimed through the window. Well then, we'd better head back to class then, eh? Sure. She has trust within us. Oh, a new chapter. Relatively short. I wonder if this is going to be a short read then, if that's going to be the case. The tint of the room slowly changes from the shine of the afternoon to the orange of dusk. A clock lazily takes away the seconds, counts in the background, on the verge of hearing. But no matter how long I wait, the outcome cannot be changed. The diminutive playing piece makes a small click against the board. Like a wound spring, Hanako makes her move only moments after mine. It's embarrassing. In comparison to my 5-minute moves, she seems to know exactly what she wants to do. Mate? Again. What does this make this? So what does that make this? 3-2? Stalemates don't count. Damn, you're getting better at this every day. That or she's been holding back. I never had thought that when I first met her, but she really has a knack for this game. Chess seems to have become a popular pastime for the two of us, hiding away in the tea room, playing a game or two after classes. From here, the students outside can just barely be heard milling about. The everyday noise from below remind me a little of my life before Yamaku. Though I'm by now well aware that it's a life I'll never get back. Fancy another game? I have to finish my homework. Oh well. Well, I'll see you tomorrow then. But what about this? Hanako points to the tea set surrounding the mostly empty chessboard. Don't worry about that. I've got it. Oh, okay. See you. Later. I can't get enough of that gentle, sweet smile. It's not the heinous, sweet smile that, I don't know, Monica would present to you in DDLC, but a very trustworthy, gentle smile. Hanako must still find it really hard, though. I think even hard around Lilly to socialize, because she is indeed a person. Hanako departs, I start cleaning up the area. The occasional whistles and cheers from the sporting clubs outside become less frequent, eventually approaching silence. A part of me still wants to be in some kind of team, since I played soccer and other sports before my accident. I guess it's only normal to feel nostalgic about what I can't do anymore. But I have other reasons than that for coming here so often, and I don't feel so bad about losing that part of myself because of them. Lee's a good friend by now, but it's the small exchanges I have with Hanako that feel especially dear. The small victories I feel every day as I see more of what she's like under her self-imposed shell. She doesn't choose to be in the shell. That's why I come here most of all. As I'm putting away cups and saucers, I hear talking outside the door. Pausing for a moment to listen, I can make out that it's Hanako and Lilly and decide to go outside to investigate. Are you quite sure? I'm sure. Ah, Hisao. Hanako turns to see me with a look of mild surprise. She noticed my approach. Lilly must have caught her just as she was about to leave. Oh my, Hisao is here as well. Afternoon, Lilly, what's up? I was hoping, now that I've finished with my class representative duties for the day, for I might have the two of you accompany me for tea at the Shanghai. It'd be nice to enjoy ourselves outside of the school for a change. I'd be up for it. I think Hanako had work to do, though. It's not all that much. Wonderful. It seems that we're decided then. Thanks. It seems we're here again. I cast my eyes across the cafe as the three of us step in as usual. There are only a handful of people around the most, and the noise level is a quiet background hum, which is very, very nice. The hold Lilly has on Hanako's arm remains just as it has been for the entire slow walk down the hill to the local town, though it's hard to say for which reason, for Lilly's guidance or for Hanako's reassurance. For a moment, Lilly removes her arm from Hanako's to retract her cane as Yuko quickly skitters over to where we stand, but soon replaces it right back where it had been. "Welcome to the Shanghai, may I take your order?" She gives a deep bow, her well-delivered and professional introduction putting her in a good mood. It's a nice change from the norm for Yuko. Yeah, you don't imagine Yuko with her kind of personality would be here, but I suppose looks can be deceiving. Never judge someone from their looks after all. "Just tea, please. Hanako? Hisao? I'll have a slice of pie and a coffee, please." "Just tea, please." "Coming right up. Please take any seat you wish and I'll be back shortly." Yuko gives a smile and a nod before shuffling to the counter, and we make our way to some empty seats by the window in quick measure. "Order!" We slip into our seats, the girls on one side with Lilly's cane propped up beside them, and I on the other. I realise Hanako is not doing something that she so often does, which is, rather than keeping her eyes pinned to the ground hiding behind a blind escort, busily trying to convince herself that the world around them doesn't exist, she's merely keeping her eyes low and helping Lilly around. "Are you okay, Lilly? You look tired." She lowers her head a little, looking somewhat embarrassed, but she let it show. Class representative work can be very tiring, considering that it often means dealing with the student council. Yes, it does. Very tiring indeed. "How do the other representatives go?" "Better than I. But not by much. Shizney is a harsh taskmaster, no matter whom she deals with." "It doesn't sound like you particularly relish the job. Why did you do it in the first place, if it's that bad?" "Being a class representative is enjoyable, and I can deal with responsibility well enough. It's just that the people involved are sometimes..." She trails off, cutting her words at a rather opportune spot. It's hard to imagine Lilly cursing, but I imagine that if anyone could make her do so, it would be Shizney. Hanako looks bewildered a bit in the light of such conflict, but before I can steer the topic away a little, she stands up. "Hanako? I'll be back in a bit." With that, she leaves the restrooms. I suppose that's one way to deal with a situation, if that was indeed her motivation. Lilly, however, looks a little wounded. "Don't worry about it. I don't think it was you. But I think she's been getting stronger recently. You've seen it yourself." "Using the word seen is a very bad thing. You felt it yourself. Don't use a word that's associated with eyesight." That went a bit away. Fortunately, Lilly doesn't look offended, and by now really shouldn't be quite so scared of stepping on that landmine around her. Possibly. Sometimes I find it hard to tell, though. Silence reigns for a moment before 2 teacups of pie and a mug of steaming coffee appears in front of us. "Hello!" I notice that Yuko takes special care to place the teacup against the tip of Lilly's fingers, letting her know where it is. "Here you go." "Thanks, Yuko." "Thank you." With a quick and silent bow, the bespectacled waitress, I was about to say waitress, takes her leave. "Ah, that's right. I was meaning to ask you something, and now would be the right time to do so. I'm all ears." "Hanako's birthday is coming up, and I was hoping that you might accompany me for present shopping in the city this weekend." "Hanako's birthday is soon? I suppose it would be a nice chance to cheer her up a bit. Like Yuko, she always seems to be tethering on the edge of either panic or depression, and I've never seen her enjoy herself much outside of our chess games. All that aside, learning the layout of the city better with a friend keeping me company sounds like a good way to spend a weekend." "Sure, I'd be happy to. Have you got any plans for what to do for her birthday? A party or something?" Hanako being Hanako, perhaps a low-key affair would be... Lilly suddenly cuts herself short, leaving me to wonder why she brings her teacup to her lips and begins to sip. "You've cut off a conversation twice, Lilly. After a few seconds, I noticed Hanako walking up to us over her shoulder. Liz, here we must be very good indeed if it was the sound of a restroom door opening that tipped her off. That is one way of looking at it. Hanako takes a seat once again and wastes no time in drinking her tea. Soon the three of us are quietly eating and drinking as the sun sets. It's a nice way to spend the remainder of the day's light, and it makes me appreciate the quiet and serene surroundings of Mako. I think I'm really beginning to like life here, as isolated as it may be. Come on now. I finish off the last of my coffee and rest the mug on the table while the girls talk between themselves. The coffee here is a little bitter for my taste. Coffee is bitter by nature, what the hell? It can still be really bitter though. I like the most bitter of coffees, I'm not gonna lie, but still quite good. Better than what I can make for myself in any case. The girls' discussions mainly focus on their retrospective reading preferences, which does give me a little curiosity about a related topic. Hey Hanako, I was just wondering, aside from chess and reading, do you have any hobbies or things you like doing? She likes cooking, doesn't she? She completely stops in her tracks, looking quite surprised that anyone would be interested in asking such a question about her. It takes her a little time to formulate a response. I guess I like singing a little. I'm okay with computers as well, but I don't use them all that much. Singing is not exactly something I expected to hear. It's hard to imagine her singing voice, given how soft-spoken she is. That softness, though, can play a part in particular roles. Like a soft voice, Lilly, on the other hand, simply not. She must already know all this, since she's been friends with Hanako for 1 year or so by now. But what about me? She hesitates before quickly flickering her head up and down. It's only logical that she'd want to talk about my hobbies after she told me hers. There's chess, obviously, but also, there was soccer as well, though I can't really do that anymore. Reading, which I picked up in hospital, this is surprisingly hard. Lilly and Hanako look a little put off by the direction this is taking, and the more I think about it, the more I am too. It sounds as if you picked up quite a few things since your accident. Lilly's candor is coded with probably the most positive spin one could put on what I said. Hanako, however, is silent. If a situation becomes difficult, her reactions always seem to be withdrawing into silence in order to prevent things getting worse, that or physically retreating. Aha! A soft ring gives us pause. As Lilly reaches into her pocket, it becomes obvious that the sound's coming from her phone. And I apologise about the sound that I just admitted there as well before that sentence. Sorry. It's okay. Lilly gives a quick nod before shuffling out of her seat and taking the call a little distance away to avoid disturbing both of us. Must be nice to be popular. Hanako smiles but doesn't take up the hook for further discussion. I end up just sitting back and closing my eyes, relaxing as best as I can. It's nice and peaceful here. I wonder what it would be like to have grown-ups somewhere like this, rather than in the city. You came from the city? Looks like I found something she wants to talk about. Yeah, you could say I was a city kid through and through. It sounds like a lot changed. It did. I'm still not quite sure what to make of it all, though. It's a bit of a culture shock, in more ways than one. You must have gone through something like this when you first arrived at Mako, right? I'd imagine most students would. Not really. So I imagine Hanako always grew up in a semi-rural area. Hanako gazes a little to the side, looking unwilling to go on. I tilt my head inquisitively, but a couple of seconds pass with no further answer. But can't we deal with that on Monday? The fallout has hardly settled from the last. I understand, I'll try to talk her down. You know what she's like when she gets locked onto an idea. Yes, thank you. I'll talk to you later then. Goodbye. Lilly's conversation ends with the snap of her phone closing. She returns to our table but doesn't take her seat. Need to go? Unfortunately, class representative work calls once again. I can come with you. It's alright, Hanako. I'll just be going straight to the student council. There's no need to spoil a fine evening on my account. Besides, if you were to accompany me on my way back to school, who would keep our poor Hisao company? Okay. I can join you for tea again. I can join you for tea again later tonight if you'd like. I may well need it. Yes, a relaxation tea is very nice after some chaos with Shizune. We agree on that plan, and Lily says her farewells to both of us, taking her cane after Hanako passed it to her. Despite my offer to pay for Lily's share, she insists on giving us her portion of the bill, and gives her regards to Yuka as she takes her leave. Wow. And then we're alone. It may well be all well and good to leave Hanako and me alone to have some time together, but all it typically means is that the two of us sitting near each other in silence for a while. I wonder what I must look like to Hanako. I never thought of myself as a scary person, but to have someone my own age acting this way around me makes me intensely self-aware, as if it's my fault that she's so troubled. She might get more used to people if she were to stop being so cloistered. Is that the word? Cloistered in Yamako? But then again, when even people much older than her react so strongly after a single glance at her face, she may well feel the same way I do now. It's a real catch-22. If she stays at Yamako, she won't get used to socializing, but if she leaves, any effort she might try would get thrown back at her by the people who can't deal with her scarring. Want to order something else to keep us going? We haven't had much of a dinner after all. Hanako brightens and nods vigorously. Glad I brought up the topic for her. I catch Yuko's gaze, and she dutifully comes over to take our orders. Would you like something else? I'll just have a sandwich special and a hot chocolate. Bit late for coffee by now. Hanako? I'll have the same. With a nod and a bow, Yuko turns on the ball of her foot and returns behind the counter, where she busies herself fishing out bread and condiments and working the machine to make our drinks. No word is said between us when Yuko comes back. She smiles and gives us our food and drinks before moving to a customer who's called for her attention. I give up on the prospect of having much of a conversation with my companion and decide to just enjoy the meal, small as it may be. It tastes nice, as does most of the food here. After having a few mouthfuls, I notice something's missing, namely the sound of Hanako eating. Looking back to her, I see Hanako fidgeting a little behind her untouched sandwich. Not hungry? She shakes her head from side to side. Even as she does, the patch of hair she keeps over the right of her face still does its job in hiding it almost entirely. It's not that. Ah, I was all ready to have your shed. You looked troubled. Is something wrong? I'm startled by her thinking that I'm the one who looks troubled, but on second thought she's probably right. My face may have given away my emotions without me noticing, and she's hardly a dim person, quite the opposite, no. Quiet people are the best observers. We're friends, right? Friends? From the tone of her voice and shrinking posture, it looks as though I've hit yet another landmine. This is another reason why interacting with her is difficult. The self-imposed psychological barriers she puts up between herself and others, including me, and most likely even Lily. It's a shame that I think that we are... I'm a little taken off guard by Hanako's straightforward answer. All the more so since I was about to give up on giving any reply at all. I see. Am I wrong? Sorry. No, it's just hearing confirmation of that from you is reassuring. To pick up on what you said earlier, since coming to Yamako, I've been a bit uneasy about how I should relate with others. I find myself chuckling a little. It's surprising how much of a relief that was. I can feel my face smile as I pick up my cup of hot chocolate and bring it to my lips. Ouch! That's hot! That's why I haven't eaten yet. I was waiting for my drink to cool down first. I guess I'll wait then. But both of us share a little chuckle. The situation is really about funny, but for some reason, it feels like laughing is the most natural thing to do right now. I guess we were both a bit wound up after each other. I was so busy thinking Hanako was the one with something wrong. It took her to remind me that I was uneasy as well. But be that as it may, it still feels a little nice. A little nice to have someone thinking about me like that, in her own way. Following a long, quiet trot up the hill and into the school grounds, the two of us find ourselves between the two dormitories. Regular night patrols pass between the male and female dormitory buildings, both for security and to quickly raise the alarm for any medical issues that may arise. The guard currently on duty notices us and gives us a quick nod as he continues on his way. A loud yawn escapes from Hanako's mouth before she has a chance to cover it. I've let it out she's fairly tired by now. I better be off to my room then. See you tomorrow, Hanako. Good night. We separate and begin to walk our separate ways before I stop and look back. Hanako stands there, waving to me as she smiles. I smile and wave back to her, and after a few seconds, she turns and walks up the stairs to her dormitory building, disappearing through the door. I don't know why I found that confusing, I don't know why. These little moments we share between us feel like a small treasure. One thing is sure, I want to protect that small delicate smile she so fleetingly wears around so few people. I wonder about these feelings I have when Hanako's around, and when I'm able to do things for her, whether they may be the seed of something beyond what we share now. We may never know. The summertime sun is something to be savoured, but when combined with the clean country air, it's all the better. The track and field club members are horsing around on the field ahead. Some are playing with a soccer ball, others are talking, and a few laugh as two of them mock fight with each other. None of them pay me any heed as I sit alone on the grass, underneath the shade of a particularly large tree. It's a nice and peaceful moment after a dreary day of schoolwork. I played soccer pretty often before my heart attack, so I had thought it would be really nostalgic to watch them. What I'm feeling right now, though, is quite distant from my emotion. And who's walking towards us? Who are you? I hear footsteps approaching from behind me, and I turn to my side to see one of my classmates taking a seat behind me. I'm taken off guard, as the two of us haven't talked much before, and I don't think anyone would notice me here. Sup? Miki. Hi, Miura, wasn't it? Just call me Miki. Surnames are too stuffy. Likewise then. We both look back out to the field where the guys are playing. It looks like they're getting ready to have a second game, with people spreading out to their positions and the ball being carried to the corner of the field. Sure enough, the whistle is blown to begin the match, and they get right back into it. Not going to play? Nah, just gonna rest for a bit. What about you? You kind of looks like you wanted to play when you were watching us before. So someone did notice me after all. It's kind of a long story. Her face says I'm piqued of interest. I'm in Yamako because I've got a heart condition. I can't really play soccer anymore. Wanted to be a soccer player, did you? No, I only did it for fun. My friends played it, so I played it as well. Any of those guys playing around could have been me before my accident, but I don't feel like I have any real wish to go back to that either. It's a little hard to explain. I'm still decently physically built from the days when I played, even my strength's largely left me by now, and I got on well with the other club members. When I think about it, I should feel pretty bad watching people play when I can't anymore. Yet I don't. Maybe it's a good thing. A sign that I've gotten over it and that I'm ready to become a new person. So I'm kind of rambling. It's cool, I'm actually glad to hear that. It sounds like you really have your stuff together. Some of the people that come to Yamako are pretty messed up at first. So you're a member of the track and field club then? Yep, been it since I first arrived. Don't suppose you're friends with Emi? Short, fast runner, no legs. I don't think there are all that many female track and field members. Emi, everyone knows about her, don't they? But now, I tend to get on better with guys, so me and Emi don't really talk much. Anyway, what about you? Oh, well, I'm not really into any clubs. Real clubs, anyway. You've been hanging around with Hanako and that blonde Amazon... You're quite observant. Blonde Amazon. I suppose Lilly has the height to fit that description. If nothing else, I nod in response without making too fine of points of things. Then don't worry about it. As long as you've got some friends, you don't need to join a club. A loud whistling from the field attracts our attention. One of the players is on the ground, clutching his leg, and the others stop play to jog up to a kneeling Miki grimacing. Ouch, that looks painful. That guy really has bad luck. As she continues to look out onto the field, I can't help being reminded of her own injuries. Her left arm, ending in a stump rather than a hand, I just noticed that now, has been bandaged up for the entire time I've been in Yamaka, and her injury doesn't seem that new. She turns to talk to me again and catches me looking. Both of us sit in awkward silence as she takes her bandaged arm and holds it in her lap with other remaining hand. Sorry, I guess I'm still a bit... It's fine, really. Her tone is light, but neither of us says anything afterwards. Every disabled student here has their own way of dealing with their problems, and some find their conditions troublesome and it's only natural. I'm included among them, after all. The injured guy from the soccer game managed to get onto his feet with some help, and ends up hobbling over the field with one arm over the shoulder and another for support. Probably just pulled a muscle if he can still manage to walk. The whistle blows again. The game continues once more with one less man on the field. Hanging out with Hanako and that blonde girl. You keep some pretty strange company. How so? It's just that Hanako's kind of, I don't know, shy. No, it's not really that. It's just, she's got some issues, I think. I can't really put it in a nice way. Not that I don't think she's a nice person, though. She's perfectly nice. Just hard to deal with. It sounds like Miki, or at least some of the people in the class, have tried to get close to Hanako in the past, and that it didn't go well. I think her judgment is rather harsh, given that everyone, not just those in Yamaka, have their own issues. Then again, I haven't known Hanako for that long, so it wouldn't surprise me if there was some stuff I didn't know about. I'll just take it as it comes. She's a nice person, and I think that should be all that matters. Miki's eyes narrow a little, and her smile spreads. You really like her, don't you? Does it really have to be like this? So what if I do like her? What does it have anything to do with you? To be completely honest, yeah, I do. I'd appreciate it if you didn't tell anyone. Hey, whoa, you can trust me, no problems there. To be honest, I think it's kind of cute. If you want to go for it, then don't let me stop you. We're not going to let you stop us anyways. Thanks. She may say that, but she was just talking about Hanako having issues. Still, I want to hold myself to the words I said. Hanako's problems don't matter. I'll deal with anything that comes up because I want to help her. If there's even the smallest possibility that I can pull Hanako out of her depression and seclusion, then I should work towards that no matter what. If she needs a prince, then I'll be that prince. As I think about the possibility of a relationship, I can see Miki grinning at me while watching my face. I'm no doubt blushing, and looking away from her only makes her laugh. Miki gives off a different vibe from the other girls. Talking to her feels more like talking to a guy than a woman. Her saying she prefers male company doesn't help to dispel that notion either. Glancing at my watch shows that lunch break is end only a few minutes. Time to start heading back to class. Lunch is about to end. Want to head back? Yeah, we'd better. Thanks. I pick myself off the grass and dust myself off. Offering a hand to Miki to help her up as well. She takes it and easily pulls herself up, showing the muscles moving in her toned bare arms in the process. Come to think of it, why aren't you wearing the normal girl's blouse? It's too hot and constricting. The boy's uniform is better anyways. She throws her arms around a bit to emphasize her point, which has the side effect of showing off one particular... Yeah, exactly! Exactly! There'll probably be another reason you... The two of us start the walk back to the main building through the gardens, talking as we go. It sounds like you're settling in well. That's a relief. It was pretty surprising to get a transfer student at this point in the year, considering the exams are coming up. Don't remind me. Don't worry about them, just cram it and you'll be fine. That doesn't sound like good advice. She claps my shoulder a couple of times, she grins. I don't think she takes school very seriously. You seem like a smart guy. Muto's taken to you well already. You're like a hand in a glove. Let's try and not deal with any kind of hand-related puns. Now to work out whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. I still don't know what to make of this school. I've been here a few weeks already, but I still feel dazed at times. You'll get used to it. Just give it some time. It's only high school, just like any other. She makes it sound so simple, but I've never thought about it that way. To me, Yamaka symbolized a marked shift in my life. I was no longer normal. I was different, and was to be educated with other different people. And yet, I'm walking back to class and talking casually with a classmate during lunch after watching some others play a soccer game, all perfectly normal. Maybe she has a point. Maybe I should just look at Hanako in the same way. Everyone has their own issues. This is hardly something unique to Yamako, after all. It's only a high school, just like any other. As we continue to talk, I find myself smiling. Mika and I are very different people in almost every way, but it feels good to have gotten to know another classmate a bit better. Indeed it has been. We must be on the weekend now, or the time of the week in which we're helping Lilly set out for a present for Hanako. A light breeze blows the scent of early summer around my head while I wait for Lilly. Small white clouds litter the sky, breaking up the monotony of the blue. Hi Sal, are you here? Lilly's voice lits on the breeze as they were one and the same thing. I stop gazing into the sky to examine Lilly. With a peach off the shoulder sweater and tan ankle-length skirt, in addition to tan sandals, she's quite a nice sight. Yeah, I'm over here, Lilly, near the gate. Were you able to sneak away from Hanako? Yes, it's not uncommon for me to go out during weekends, so I don't think she noticed anything suspicious. That, and she has someone she sees. Lilly pursed her lips as she maybe shouldn't have continued. I find it a little hard to believe. Hanako seen someone? Really? No, it's just she sees a therapist every so often on weekends. Oh well, that does make a lot of sense. Lilly rubs her arm uncomfortably, and after one look at her troubled expression, I quickly move to change the topic away from Hanako. Yes? I was just wondering, you can get around the city on your own. Lilly sighs at my consternation surrounding the topic of her blindness. I'm my own worst enemy sometimes. I can, yes. It's easier when I'm out with a friend or my sister, though. I wonder how Lilly gets along with her sister. Being an only child, it's hard to imagine what having a sibling would be like, so it makes me a little envious of her. Right, well then, the bus arrives in a few minutes, so we should probably get a move on. Indeed, it's a long wait if we miss this one. With that, we set off for the bus stop on the hill. It's only a small distance from the school gate, so it's very convenient. It's a nice view from here, coming from the city. I never really got to see scenery like this, let alone on a daily basis. This area is nice for me as well. It's tranquil, and away from the noise and smells of the city. Lilly's head perks up in a trademark gesture of hers, signifying that she's caught a sound. Oh, here comes the bus. I look down the road to see the bus trundling up the hill. Her hearing's quite a useful tool. The bus only takes a short while to reach the bus stop, forcing its way up the road, and within a minute we are on our way to the city. Indeed it is the case. A different image of the city. Anyways, walking around the city, I feel distinct nostalgia. The smells, the traffic, the tall buildings everywhere. It's a lot like my native city, save for the raised walkways. It feels a little weird, walking around the city as casually as I would in a park, but with cars rushing around underneath me, as I'm busily pondering the engineering marvel that is the raised walkway, I get a surprise. Aha! It takes a moment for me to realise that Lilly has wrapped her arm around mine, extending a cane in front of her with her other hand. For a moment I'm startled, but I manage to keep enough of a lid on it for Lilly not to notice. While it's not the first time that Lilly's relied on me for guidance, she'd only held onto my sleeve cuff before. It's logical that it would be easier for her to navigate a crowded and complex area such as the city while securely linked, but I'm far from being as used to this kind of contact as Lilly is. Finally realizing the growing silence between us as Lilly waits for me to get moving, I quickly kick my brain into gear. You know, it was quite a surprise that Hanako likes the scene. Have you ever heard her do that before? I have indeed. We've been to karaoke sessions several times, along with my sister. I can't say I take to the activity much, but the other two like it. Maybe Hanako doing karaoke is more fitting than I initially thought. Just her and those she knows, all alone in a little room. It would give her a rare chance to let her guard down, with nobody else there to judge her. Maybe it would be nice to bring her into town for a karaoke birthday party if she likes doing it. I'm not sure she would deal very well with the excitement. I moved to protest, but her face showing that she's mulling the proposal over some more. It takes quite some time for her to come to a conclusion. Then again, the best thing we can do for Hanako at this point is to try to create some pleasant birthday memories. Continually treating her as if she's abnormal won't help. I think you're right. If she has something to remember apart from loss, then maybe she'll come around. If we brought her something nice that she could see every day, then maybe she'd be able to take her mind off her past and remember she has friends. And in any case, I think Naka can handle something like this. In the time I've spent beside her, I've learnt that she isn't quite as frightfully fragile as I thought she was first. As I first thought she was. There we go, Flare. Just say the words. So, shall we be off? I'm not really sure about the layout of this area. Me again, clicking off the screen. Very well. I'm more likely to suggest having something to eat first. I haven't either, so that sounds like a good plan. Make sure you choose a nice place, Hisao. She gives a teasing smile. One that makes me smile reflexively in response, even if she can't see that. I'll make very sure I do. Don't worry about that. Once inside, I order 2 slices of pie and accompanying cups of tea and take them back to our table. I pegged this coffee as a type to appeal to Lilly, small and quiet but well kept and somewhat upscale. Going by the dainty smile she wears, I don't really know if I chose right. It's very, very rare to not see her smiling after all. Nevertheless, I take a seat near her at one of the corner tables and lay down our small meals. Lilly gingerly brings her head over the slice of pie placed in front of her, delicately taking in the aroma. Lemon pie, is it? Thank you, Hisao. No problem, but tea just next to it, so be careful not to knock it over. Which side of it, though? She nods appreciatively, but judging from the slightly weak smile she has, the warning wasn't really necessary. I suppose the sand must have tipped her off to its position. It's about the gratitude of notifying her about that. We both tuck into our food without further ado. Both of us remain largely silent as we do so. Lilly isn't the type to appreciate discussion while eating, and I can't say I like it either. It's what's called being rude when your mouth is full of food to talk. Eventually we finish both our meals, and the last of our teacups follows in short order. Lilly's the first to break the silence. Yeah, talking while your mouth is full is not good. That was very nice. I must say you've chosen quite well, Hisao. This is the first time I've really had much of a look around the city, so all I could do really is choose somewhere that looked nice. Damn. Sorry. I feel really bad for inadvertently bringing up the subject of sight around Lilly. Let's see. Yeah, looked. Yeah. Quite the opposite, she almost looks amused by my awkward attempt at an apology. You are thoughtful, Hisao, but sometimes I fear that it gets the better of you. But there's no need to change your speech on my account. Lilly truly is pretty comfortable in dealing with her condition. I still hasten to change the subject, as I can't really say that I share her confidence in the matter. Have you lived here for very long? It seems like you have this place pretty much sorted out. She quickly waves her hand in front of her face to dismiss the notion. It's nothing like that. I've attended Yamako since the start of high school, but I didn't walk around the city very much because Akira and my sister picked me up and dropped me off. Oh right, you mentioned not living in your dormitories until recently. It's quite a surprise. I just assumed she'd been living here since entering Yamako at the least, which would give her a few years here. I've lived with my family for most of my life. Then I was just together with my sister, with my family having moved to Inverness long before. Scotland? And Akira working longer hours. I ended up having to move. Inverness? Is that somewhere in Scotland? It is somewhere in Scotland! Oh, did I not tell you? My family currently lives in Scotland, the birthplace of my mother. My father's side is mainly Japanese, though. The question of what gave Lilly her looks did cross my mind every now and again, but I never thought to ask. That answers that then. To be honest, I never had guessed, considering you have no accent. I guess you were born here? Full marks! I'm thankful for my heritage, though, as without it, I'd likely have not been taught English so early in my life. And what of you, Hisao? What about me? She gives a moment's thought. She probably should have thought of what to ask me before switching the topic. I'll go with, what are your plans for the future? To be honest, I haven't thought much about that recently. After my accident and subsequent months in hospital, enjoying my life here with you and Hanako has been enough for me. In fact, I don't think I've thought at all about a future for some time now. It seems almost futile. This is your last year of school. After this, you'll have to fend for yourself one way or another. It's not like I don't know that. I just haven't put much thought into it since then. She opens her mouth to continue, but gives a small sigh instead. She seems to have realized that she really doesn't know enough about my situation to go too deeply into this. Well, we all have our own pace. I just hope you'll take any chance you see. I understand. I'll think about it. As we walk out into the city, Lilly takes hold of my arm once again. So, did you get any good ideas for a present? To be honest, no. I've never been very good at picking them. As absurd as it sounds, perhaps we should just look around. Hearing Lilly utter those words froze me for a moment. Oh right, how do we do that? That's just the reaction I was expecting. It's simple. You can go window shopping and just tell me what is around. If something interesting comes up, then we might get an idea. Right. I'm still not so sure of this, but I'll take your word for it. I think we'll manage. Hanako, my sister, and I managed to do it well enough. With Lilly's simplistic and rather optimistic statement, we set off into the shopping district of the city and I start describing everything I see to Lilly. It's hard to think of Hanako going window shopping. She doesn't feel like the type to place much stock in fashion. You might be surprised. Nor have I noticed her reading magazines or the like. In fact, all I think I've really seen her do as a hobby is read books. There's a houseware shop just ahead. Looks like it's mostly crockery though. I can't think that she'd have much of a need for that. And what type of message would that send to her? Cook more food. That's not such a bad idea. Maybe. Sometimes it's best to leave these things alone, Hisao. Once again, I get a feeling that Hanako's exploits in the kitchens aren't always successful. Lilly must have had to help her with that sometimes. Let's see, next along is a bookshop. That seems like a good one. She's always reading. Yes, but there are a few problems with books. I'm not quite sure what she has and hasn't read. What about a gift card then? There's nothing as impersonal as giving someone a gift card. It's like saying, I don't know enough about you to work out what you'd like. I get Lilly's point. It's like, it's giving someone money, but they're restricted to a particular shop. And it's as Lilly has pointed it out. I don't know enough about you, so therefore you're not really considered a friend if you just give them a gift card. Which is logical. I've always thought of it as making sure they got what they wanted. Giving people gifts is supposed to show them the level of affection you have for them. If you can't decide on a simple gift of them, then how much could you think of them? Right, no gift cards. Lily seems overly passionate about this, but I can see her point. If you're going to get something for someone, then you should put at least some thought into it. If I wanted to get something for Hanako that reminds her of us every day, then what good is a gift card? In that case, what did you get Hanako last year? A porcelain doll? I thought that if she had someone to talk to, then it might help her ease her pain. A doll isn't ever going to criticize her after all. Lily, I'm going to say this right now. That is like a gift card. That's like saying that Hanako has no means to be able to socialize, so here's something that doesn't talk back or judge you back because it's not even alive. So, in a way, that is quite dark, Lily. So, should I be looking for a doll shop? No. If you could be so kind to keep a lookout for one, I would be grateful. Sounds good to me, but I wish you mentioned it earlier. But if I did that, then you wouldn't have started thinking for yourself, would you? Once again, Lily has a point. My brain is currently analysing every story past for gift options. If Lily had mentioned a doll shop to begin with, I wouldn't have thought of anything else. Exactly. We wander through the city streets, but seem unable to find anything that resembles a doll shop or anything that I could consider a fitting present. The simple act of searching is starting to clear my head. The events of last week are starting to fade away, and I'm looking forward to giving Hanako her gift. If I can find one, that is. This is hopeless. I thought we'd be able to find something in the city for sure, and I'm sure we've walked down the street at least once before. That almost sounds like you're giving up, Hisao. I'm not, but it's a lot harder than I thought. Try not to be so restricted in your thinking. Maybe we should actually go into some shops and have a look around. That might work. I've never really been any good at window shopping. Lily and I circle around the city streets once more, this time popping into stores that catch our attention. In the end, though, nothing comes up as especially appropriate. Hanako's tastes are quite hard to pin down at the best of times, thanks to her intensely private nature, and those tastes we do know are hard to accommodate. May we take a break for a minute? I'm a bit exhausted. I agree and leave Lily to rest against a railing while I go to get a couple of drinks from a nearby vending machine. After walking up to the vending machine and grabbing myself some lemonade, I find myself at a bit of a loss. Not really knowing Lily's taste, I decide to take a guess and grab something that seems a little girly, but not too weird. Strawberry flavoured milk? Back. I walk up to her and place the carton into her outstretched hands, making sure she has a grip on it before letting go. She fills out its contours before opening it and taking a very tentative sip. Her approving smile afterwards telling me that I made the right choice. We both rest and have a quiet drink for a few minutes. A familiar soft ring begins to sound from Lily's side. She quickly apologizes as her hand goes into her pocket, pulling out her mobile phone. Do you mind if I take this? It's fine, don't worry. She nods to me and thanks before turning away and flipping the phone open. Bringing it to the side of her face, she picked up the call. Going by the tone of Lily's voice, the person on the other end is no doubt some friend or another. I tune out of her conversation pretty quickly. Tune out, as the snippets that Lily says it makes it sound a little more than gossip. Without much else to do, I find myself watching Lily. She really is a pretty girl, which would hardly hurt her popularity in school. It's interesting just how much Hanako and Lily's contrast with each other, in both personality and appearance. For a few minutes I just lean back and drink, watching her. Before long, Lily says her goodbyes to the person she's talking to and hangs up, placing her phone back in her pocket and leaning back against the rain as before. Sorry, just a friend from class. I take one final swig of my can before throwing it into the bin. Lily gives me her card to throw away soon after, finish it off relatively quickly. You seem to have a lot of friends. Oh? Lee waits for me to continue, her interest piqued. I was just thinking that you and Hanako contrast really heavily. It's hard to imagine Hanako doing a lot of things you do, or knowing the people you know. You seem to think about Hanako quite a bit. I don't know, it's just, she's mysterious, I guess. I kind of want to know more about her. which isn't that easy. It almost sounds like you're doubting your relationship to her. I don't think it's that. I just want to do more for her, being her friend and all. I don't even really know how she sees me. That's a question for her to answer, and to ask her. This statement seems to interest Lilly quite a bit. I wonder if Hanako said anything about me to Lilly during their conversations. I'm about to ask what's in her mind. She picks herself up from the railing. Shall we be off then? Her voice and expression show that she's playing games with me. Lilly knows damn well that she's leaving me hanging. With a sigh, I pick myself up off the rain as well and have a brief look around. We have stuff to do, so I'll just try and get back to her about this later. Tucked in between a newsstand and a convenience store is a small shop. The sign above the door reads, Ophelio's Antiques, in decorative English script. It would be easy to miss if we were walking along the street, but since we're stationary and I'm personally looking around, it's just noticeable. Say, Lilly, that doll you got, Hanako, was it new? Well, yes, but I'm not quite sure I know what you mean. I think I've found our shop. It's across the road. Oh, what is it? Some kind of toy shop? It's an antique shop. I think it's probably going to be our best bet. Really? I didn't know we even had one of those near here. Neither did I. I missed it the first time we went by here. It's pretty well hidden. Well then, it can't hurt to check. Inspired by this new find, we quickly dust ourselves off and head towards the store. Lilly's hand finds its way to my elbow for guidance. The store has a strange musky scent to it. The layout is more like a garage, not garbage, than a store. Things are strewn about the floor without any immediate semblance of order. The shopkeeper gives us an almost bored look through his particularly small eyes. His face looks weary and tired, and his dress style is distinctively anachronistic. He gives us a polite nod and welcome before going back to his book. Lilly holds tightly onto my arm, and I find myself having to split my efforts between making sure we don't miss a potential gift for Hanako, and making sure Lilly doesn't inadvertently bump into anything. The task is quite difficult given the haphazard way the store is laid out, and the many things poking out of the shelves they're on or sitting on pieces of furniture, but eventually we safely arrive at an old desk covered in dolls and teddy bears. I think this is the right place. There's pretty much every kind of doll you could imagine here. That should make the choice much simpler. Could you please pick one for me, Hisao? I had a feeling that it would come to this. I picture Hanako in my mind and try to imagine which of the dolls before me would suit her the best. My eyes wander around the collection. Each one is as exquisite as the one before it. The sheer number of styles is boggling, but eventually one catches my eye. Here, what about this one? I pick up a small porcelain doll that looks to be at least somewhat affordable, dressed in a Victorian-era green dress with a little brown hat sitting atop its blonde hair. It looks a lot like Lilly. I gently pass her, who delicately feels her way around the object while wearing a look of slight concentration. It certainly feels beautiful. Do you think it would suit Hanako in your opinion? I think it would. It could look good in her room. In that case, I'll trust your judgment. Will you be getting her something as well? Or shall this be a shared gift? I'm not sure. I think I should get her something myself. But I don't think getting her another doll is such a great idea. Maybe teddy bear? Teddy bear? Or a decorative box, actually. I let my voice trail off as I look around the shop. Resting on a writing table not far from us is a decorative box that catches my eye. Wait here, I think I found something. My, that was fast. I gingerly walk through a collection of crystal glassware and pick up the box. The wooden sides are covered in carvings depicting ancient battles around a castle. The top, however, looks far too familiar, alternating squares of chessboard, a chessboard, for goodness sakes. That's a really nice item. It's a chess set from overseas. The store owner's sudden appearance startles me a little. I didn't see him approaching at all. I suppose he's trying to help us because we don't really look like we know what we're looking for. On the other hand, maybe he wants to keep an eye on us because he suspects we might shoplift instead. I'm looking for a present for a friend. I see. In that case, this chess set would make a fine choice. Realization floods into my mind. This is a pretty good looking set, but this is an antique shop. They're not well known for their bargain prices. How old is this? This is a reproduction. My best estimate is that it's about 5 years old. A reproduction is always cheaper than the originals. I see. How much? He thinks a little before telling me, which is slightly disconcerting. I'll let you take this now for 7,000 yen. I balked a little, I wasn't expecting to spend that much, but it does seem perfect. Then again, maybe that's a testament to how well he worked out how much he could make me pay. Couldn't make it 5,000? 5,500, no lower. I'm sold! Oh, we also like to get that doll. The store owner looks over my shoulder, focused on Lilly and the doll in her hands. His eyes narrow and he visibly takes a moment to switch mental gears. In the process, his smile drops slightly. Ah. I guess that means that not everything in his store is a reproduction. Are you quite sure that you want that doll, miss? I trust my friend's judgment. I see. Oh, no offense. None taken. If you could please wrap it up for me, it would be appreciated. Yes, of course, but it is 20,000 yen. She can just do that like that? Lilly reaches into her purse and presents 4 crisp-looking 5,000 yen notes. Here you are, 20,000 yen. The storekeeper dutifully takes from Ember doll and proceeds to the counter. I take Lilly's arm to guide her there. Are you sure about this? It's okay. I have the funds I need. As I said, I trust your judgment. I feel a little guilty on 2 fronts. First, because Lilly has just spent a lot of money on my recommendation, and secondly, because I have a feeling that the value of my gift isn't high. That's not the point! It's the thought that counts, my man! It doesn't matter if the present is £5 or £500. It's the thought of buying a present for a friend that matters. It doesn't matter about the value. Nevertheless, Lilly does seem to get somewhat awkward whenever the mention of money comes about. I hand the shopkeeper my present and the money for it in turn. He puts the cash into the register before busying himself with wrapping the doll and repeating the process on the chessboard. Eventually, he finishes the gift wrapping and hands us both our presents. Please be careful on your way back, and do come again. Thanks. Indeed, thank you very much. The store owner bows deeply to us as we leave. Well, it did take us all day, but we found something in the end. That we did. Now that the presents are wrapped, I'm feeling a little impatient to give them to Hanako. It's a common reaction to buying gifts. I want to see the reaction of the receiver as they discover what it is. And part of me wants to return to Hanako just to confirm her condition with my own eyes. So, should we head back? Let's. We've done a lot of walking today, so I shan't mind taking a rest back at the dormitories. Lilly's right. Now that the need to find a shop is over, my legs are feeling quite tired. Well then, back to the school for us. I'm looking forward to resting a bit too. Lilly holds out her arm and I link mine with hers. Together we make our way back to the bus stop. That will be all for today, folks. I assume that there's going to be some kind of romance going on in the near future, but only time will tell. I think similarly with Shizune, the romance is, actually as well with Rin, the romance is very, very late on, but with Emmy's, the romance was very early on within the route. Like, really early on, Emmy's was. And in a way that I'm not particularly comfortable with. Thank you all so much for watching. See you all next time with Katawa Shoujo. Not like regulating different things going on, it's just the fact that if I was getting into a relationship with somebody that early on, I wouldn't really focus on that scenario, but whether it makes two people happy, then that is all good as long as it's not causing others harm. I think the most important factor about being happy is that it's not causing others harm for your happiness to be there in the first place. If your happiness involves the suffering of others, then that's really bad. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and take care of yourselves.